Hey, welcome to Choo. I'm Jacob and I absolutely love foraging. I've been foraging for different things here and there my whole life, but since moving to the Adelaide Hills about 5 years ago, I've really thrown myself into it. It is now one of my passions. I'm somewhat of a mycophile. I love foraging for mushrooms, but we forage for just about everything. I'm sort of self-taught. I gleaned a lot from friends and a little bit from online, but mostly I had to put in the effort myself. And what I discovered over the 5 years is, well, 5 tips. This is what I think are 5 tips to help you become a better forager. Tip number 1, do your research. And I don't mean like do your own research. I mean, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't even know if it grows in your area, you don't know what time of year it grows, how are you going to find it? So you need to research thoroughly. Find out what season certain things pop up. Find out what you like so that you know, and find out if it even grows in your area. Extensive research is key to becoming a better forager. For example, what's the difference between these two mushrooms? This one is a delicious edible pine mushroom found in, well, all over South Australia really, whereas this one will make you talk to Jesus. Don't forget to cross-reference everything. Don't take one individual thing as gospel because there's a lot of misinformation out there, so get some books, jump on a bunch of forums and really cross-reference and study. It is not worth making a mistake when it comes to finding wild food, which brings me to point number 2. Forums. Jump on a whole bunch of forums. Now, there's a lot of naysayers out there, there's a lot of people who poo-poo, but forums are super useful. There's enough friendly people out there, there's enough information. A lot of forums have indexes which will link to several reputable sources which you'll be able to glean a lot of information from, learn a lot of information. Check out Reddit, check out Instagram, jump on Facebook, check out our own foraging playlist right here on Choo. You can post pictures there. There's going to be enough people who will give you tips. Don't take their word as gospel. Back to tip number 1, always cross-reference everything as best you can. The more information you have, the better, but forums are super useful. A great tool to have is this. Take lots of photos, bang, snap off a bunch of photos if you find a weird mushroom, post on the forums. You're probably going to get a few people there going, oh, why don't you just read the indexes? You should read the indexes. People get sick of seeing the same photos over and over again, but you know what? Fuck them. Put it on there. You might get someone who will tell you what it is. Again, cross-reference. Don't take their word as gospel, but use your phone to snap some photos. And also, if you find a spot where you found some mushrooms that you know what they are, say pine mushrooms, really easy to identify, you can pin that in your maps and then you know where to go next year. Your phone is your best friend. You can do everything through this. You can do your research, you can network, you can jump on the forums, you can mark certain spots. The best part about forums, I find, I'm a pretty busy guy. I've got lots of little spots where I know how to find mushrooms, but I don't really go out too often until people start posting photos. See, people will always post their finds on these forums on Facebook. So as soon as I get enough people posting, say Pacini's for example, I know that probably my spots are going to have Pacini's popping up. So you can even just get little hints like that. You might not get specific locations, but you're going to get a lot of useful information out of forums, including one really useful thing, tip number 3. Networking. You can learn a lot, meet a lot of people through networking. When I first started foraging, it was just me and my cousins, maybe a little bit like as a kid, my family and stuff, but when I really started throwing myself into it, there weren't too many of my buddies that I knew about who were foragers, but I later discovered that some of them were. You may have friends or friends of friends who are avid foragers or who dabble in one or two little things and you don't even know about it. Start talking to your mates, get them excited about foraging, share the pictures, cook up a meal with something that you've found and grow your network. For me, I really enjoy being alone in the woods for sure. I find it meditative and peaceful, but I also really like going out there with my friends. Being out in the woods with your buddies, having a laugh and maybe finding some food is really enjoyable. Your friends might discover new locations that they will share with you. They might find a new edible mushroom that you didn't know about or were a little bit unsure of, but they've gone and done the research for you. They've eaten the mushroom so you know it's safe, whatever. So networking is super important. Annoy the shit out of your friends, get them excited about foraging and grow your network, because the bigger the network, like all things in humanity, all of society, many hands make light work. So grow your network. Tip number 4, and this is one of the more important tips, you have to put in the time. If you don't put in the time, you're not going to get good at it. It's like learning a musical instrument. If you don't put in the practice, how are you going to get good at it unless you're some kind of genius? If you don't put in the time, you're going to have little success. I never leave home without a bag and a pocket knife in the back of the car. Try not to keep the pocket knife in the front of the car because cops can be a little bit funny about concealed weapons, but that's a video for another time. Keep a little pocket knife in the back of the car with a bag. If you got to go pick up your kids from school and you've got the time, now I'm very fortunate that I work for myself, so I have my own schedule. I can do things during the day and come home and work at night. Not everyone is afforded that luxury. I understand that. The reality is, if you want to become good at foraging takes time. You have to put in the time. But you can do what I do. Keep some shit in the back of your car. You got a few extra minutes, leave 20 minutes early if you see a little spot on the side of the road, or take a mental note of that spot. You might be driving down the street and see a little strip of land on the side of the road that's public land. It's got pine trees there, maybe an oak tree or something that looks like an oak tree. Remember that for next time. If you've got a few extra minutes and you're just driving past, jump out, have a scout around, because you might find something there if it's the right time of year, of course. That's what I do. 99% of the time, though, I don't find things, but sometimes I do, and then I remember that spot for next time. Even in my own backyard, I've managed to find a bunch of food, which brings me to my final tip. Tip number 5, and this is probably the most important tip. Try not to be discouraged. Don't be discouraged, stay positive. Foraging is tricky. It's hit and miss. It takes time. 99% of the time you might not find anything, and you're going to grow and learn as you go. And the more time you put in, back to tip number 4, the more likely you are to find these things. Initially, it's going to be tough. Potentially, maybe not, maybe you get lucky. But if you follow these tips, you will end up finding more and more food. But start simple. You might not find that elusive porcini straight away. Start in your own backyard, like where I am right now. In my backyard, there was a bunch of food here that I didn't even know about until I did my research, put in the time and started looking at things. Now I have onion weed growing in my backyard, a beautiful allium I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know it was edible. I've been mowing it down every year until I went, no, that smells like onion. That smells delicious. I put in the time, I did my research, I cross-referenced, and now I have a delicious, nutritious food source in my backyard that is a staple on our plate every single year. Start with olives. Go down the street and find olives on the side of the road. Check out our olive foraging video. Olives are everywhere. They're super easy. You can't mistake them for something poisonous. We go through a lot of information on our video on how to prepare them. There are simple things out there. Don't go out there and go, okay, I'm going to find this mushroom that everyone's posting on the mushroom forum straight away, because some things are easier to find than others. Start in your backyard. If you don't have a big backyard or a backyard at all, well, start on the side of the road. You've got an extra 20 minutes before you pick up your kid from school. Have a bit of a look around. Try not to be discouraged, okay? Because if you follow these 5 tips, you will find something eventually. You will be rewarded. And there is nothing more rewarding, in my opinion, than finding your own food, sourcing your own food, providing nourishment for your friends and family. So that's my 5 tips to help you become a better forager. 1, thoroughly research your shit. 2, jump on as many forums and posts and whatevers as you can. 3, network. 4, put in the time. You won't find your shit unless you put in the time. And 5, stay positive and do not get discouraged. If you follow these tips, you put in the work, you will be rewarded. I've been Jacob, and you've been watching Choo. If you found this information useful, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share this video around, etc., because it really helps out the channel. And we're posting a bunch of stuff in the coming days. Lots more foraging, heaps of distilling, home brewing, and so on. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. Now, if you excuse me, it's time to reap my rewards.